The Bible is arguably the most enigmatic book of all time. Its depth and richness of narrative, songs, poetry, law, prophecy, and eschatology is unrivaled in its class. This text confounded many for centuries. Attributed to the divine inspiration of the Most High Yah, only a select few were privileged to be able to unravel the mysteries that lie beneath. Today, there are tons of academic gatekeepers who have been able to unlock this coded script using a variety of techniques mostly unknown to laymen. However, today this is no longer the case. Thankfully, Divine Prospect has spent 15 years playing the spook who sat by the door to gather intel on how to best approach the text and get the most objective understanding possible. He is making these techniques available to the general public in the upcoming KHM Holistic Research Paradigm for Bible study classes. For the first time, be able to read the text the way it was intended by the author to his immediate audience. Once you've been able to successfully decipher the scripture, you will then learn how to map it to modern times and yield a harvest of actual results. Sign up today by going to www.patreon.com/Divine Prospect and join the $50 tier to reserve your spot. Seats are extremely limited, so take advantage of this opportunity before it's too late. Peace and shalom.
Oh, shalom, family. What's going on? It's your brother Divine Prospect, Kingdom Harbinger Ministries. We back in the building. What's going on? Hit one if the audio is good. Hit one if the video is good. If the audio and or the video is not good, just let me know in the chat to the side. All right. We're about to get it popping, family. Yes, 111. Okay, good. All right, so make sure you share the video. Get it on all social media platforms so we can get more people in the building, and we can also hit that algorithm, beat it up a little bit, and force it to go and spread the message of what we do here at KHM to the rest of the world, and I'll bring it to the top of their feed so they can tune in as well. All right, it's been a very rough month, man, for me. Rough month. Feel so bad I wasn't able to go live last week. Didn't even give you a heads up. So I apologize for that, but we are live today. We got about an hour to chill out. I do got a lot of other things to do, but the good news is I am getting more organized, and I have a little bit more time to actually get some more stuff done, which is fortunate. And that's because I have changed over the tools that I use to actually get work done, right? Give a couple of announcements of some things that's coming up that I've been speaking on in the past, but now I'm going to give dates and times to these things, right? So I'll mention like more videos I'll mention in regards to what I'm doing currently to kind of stay focused and organized. But it's been rough, personal wise and responsibility wise, been rough getting to y'all. I know some of y'all out there can actually relate to that. You know what I'm saying? So I know I'm not by myself. And, I got to continuously keep myself, encouraged and make sure that I stay the course. I love this ministry. I love serving the people. I love working for y'all. It's the best employee I ever had in my life. Despite the ups and downs, roller coaster and everything like that. Getting to know his will is the most rewarding thing, right? During the process of everything that be coming my way. Right. So I'm grateful for everything that comes my way. It's either a lesson learned, right, which most things are. It is a catastrophe avoided, right? It is a circumstance that has consequences that gives me the opportunity to change, right, for the better. And whatever I learn, I like to pay it forward and share it with y'all. Right. So all praises to the Most High for that. All right. So don't want to keep you up too much with this personal stuff that I've been dealing with and what's been going on. Let's focus on the ministry. All right. So first and foremost, I want to let you know that the KHM Holistic Research Paradigm for Bible Study classes will resume next Tuesday at about 5:15 p.m. I'll make a community post about it. It'll also be on social media. And you'll get an update on that. But our intro class to the second part will be coming out next Tuesday around 5:15 p.m. All right, Eastern Standard Time. All right, just so you know. All right, that's the first thing. I want to make sure I share that. Second thing is the lecture that we're doing, the ontology of the serpent in the Garden of Eden. Right, that lecture will be launching in October, which is next month. Figuring out if I want to do it virtual or if I want to actually get a venue to do it. If I do get a venue, it'll probably be later on in October, probably getting closer towards almost Halloween, which will be very interesting because we're talking about the serpent and all of that. So the theme can be kind of centered around that. Give us a target to aim at, you know what I'm saying? But it'll be very engaging nonetheless. So again, it's either going to be at the beginning of October or it's going to be at the end of October. But whatever I decide to do, I'll decide it within next week and then give you a concrete date. And if it is going to be live somewhere physical, then anybody that's local in Atlanta or in the surrounding areas, feel free to come out. If it's virtual, we'll do something very similar to what we did last year when I did the Shechem and Dinah controversial lecture. It'll be something similar to that. But I want to do it live. Right? I want to do it live. I want to actually do it to counter this Halloween spirit that's coming up in October. Right. So that's another reason why I wanted to wait off to October to actually do this, but we'll see. All right. So classes will be starting next Tuesday. Now, how can you enroll for the classes? Again, you just saw the commercial for it. All you got to do is sign up for Patreon, sign up for the $50 tier, and you're automatically enrolled in the KHM Holistic Research Paradigm for Bible Study classes. Not only does it enroll you for the upcoming classes, but you can also see the previous classes that we did to catch up on things before we get into phase 2. All right. Phase 2, we're dealing with the contextual analysis. Remember, there's 7 components to unlocking any passage of scripture. And if you put scripture through all of these 7 components, you may not be able to put them through each one, but the majority of them, if you kind of put it through this filter of these 7 components, which is the inductive research analysis or analytical methodology, you'll be able to figure out what every passage in the Bible is about. You will never, I ain't gonna say never, right? Let me take that back. I don't want to be absolute, but it'll be very difficult for you to misunderstand the text, right? Because you have the tools at your disposal on how to unravel it and figure out what's really lying beneath the surface reading, which a lot of people have not thoroughly invested in. Most people have invested it in theology. We pretty much move away theology because our job is to try and reconstruct the cultural paradigm that the ancestors from the text were trying to reveal to us as recipients of this knowledge today. And we use this methodology to kind of get into the gut of things and figure out what's going on there, leaving no stone unturned, right? So these classes are phenomenal. So many testimonies I have from the first lessons that we did on it last year. And it took almost a year to get back to this point, right? But we're here. And if all goes well, it'll be every month. We'll go through over the next 6 months. We'll go through the remaining portions of the analysis methodology. And then what we'll do is right now we're working with Genesis 1:1. And there's so much depth to just Genesis 1:1, right? You're going to see as we transverse through these methodological approaches, there's so much depth to Genesis 1:1, right? And the text really helps to interpret itself, but you just have to know where to go, right? You can use this methodology, like I said, on any passage of scripture. But once we go through Genesis 1:1, then we're going to do John 1:1 for the New Testament, right? And that would be after those 6 months is up, right? We'll do John 1:1, right? We're gonna try to do it every second, third, and fourth Tuesday, except for the first Tuesday of the month. We're not gonna do it, but the second, third, and fourth Tuesday. So let's get through the contextual analysis, see how things go, and then from there we'll flow into the subsequent months and see what we do with the remaining components of this research methodology. All right. So we give you the tools to get it done. We don't play games over here. And y'all know that. That's why you're tuned in. All praise to the Most High. All right. Just wanted to share that with y'all. So, yeah, so we got the lecture coming up in October. And again, I think I want to do it live. Because I want to do some decorating and stuff like that. So we'll see. I got the venue and everything already. Just trying to figure out the theme, right? We want to have some drinks there, right? Some wine and some hors d'oeuvres, right? We're going to make it very classy, right, and high profile, and want to kind of give that element to lectures going forward, right? So yeah, I want to spice it up. So it may take some time, but it'll be done in October. Yeah, all right. And then lastly, KHM, we are looking for new administrators to kind of help get things organized over here again. And we would love for anybody out there that's interested in working with us. If you would like to volunteer, please email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Any of our members, if you guys are looking to do more work involved with the ministry, please email us as well, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. You should also have KHM group email at gmail.com, right? That's specifically for members, but I know some members, just out of habit and routines to email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. That's the ministry's front-facing email to the public. The internal email for members is KHM group email at gmail.com, right? So members, hit us up. If you're interested, and anybody else outside of membership, if you're interested in working with us, we have a lot of administrative work to do. We have a lot of programs. We just relaunched the Ezra Institute, as I shared in the last live stream. We just, got that together, and we need some assistance with some admin team members working on that. So please email us, express your interest, so that way we can get you on board and we can kick this kingdom ball rolling. All right. Now, also, we do have 2 winners to 2 back to school supplies giveaway. So they will be announced on here and on Patreon, right? Because there's a Patreon only giveaway, but we have two patrons on Patreon that won the giveaway, and we still have 2 more. We still have computers to give away. We still have laptops. We got MacBook Air and other stuff. We have stuff that we want to give away, right? We just want the community to get involved. And it's interesting to see that people really don't care about these programs, and or their interest in it is not as high as everything else we do on this channel, like the community work, which that is part of the community work, and the teachings and the debates and stuff like that. People really care more about the debates and teachings than they do actual community work. You know what I'm saying? Because whenever we do something surrounding community work, we really don't get a lot of people showing up for it. It's very interesting. The Ezra Institute is here to revolutionize the education system that your children are getting, right? And we center them back to Yah, right, as the foundation, and the children get more involved when Yah is a major component to their academic consensus and how they learn, right? So the academic consensus should have Yah at the foundation. And if the kids have that, they'll be more interested in all the other academic work that comes with it, right? So, this is something to engulf our community back into the cultural autonomy that we are trying to restore, right? That was lost to us. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm saying that I'm all in, like almost every element of KHM, I've tried everything and it's worked for me and worked for those who I've shared it with. So Ezra Institute is here. If you're interested in the Ezra Institute, check out the last live stream where we discuss it. PowerPoint is also in the description below, so you can check it out and sign up, and anybody's out there been wondering, man, I want to homeschool my children, I don't know where to begin. This is why we're here, right? And we have more programs coming out soon, and services being offered by KHM officially coming out soon. The next one is going to be that we're going to officially put out, because we've been doing it, but officially it's a Shifra and Puah's burden stew. So Shifra and Puah from scripture in Exodus chapter 1 saved the Hebrew boys when the edict came down from Pharaoh to destroy or kill off the Hebrew boys because it was multiplying too fast, and they saved them on the burden stool, right? So we want to provide that option to soon-to-be mothers, or mothers who are already mothers but having additional children, the opportunity to have holistic care that's naturopathic, and do home births, right, the way it was done back in the day, and get the support system you need for that. So we're looking to restore that back to our community. So again, we're looking at everything, every societal ill that plagues our community, that prevents us from having a clear focus on Yah. We're trying to not only provide that, but once it's satisfied, right, based on scripture and our culture, then we'll be better in tune and aligned with Yah, right? And that's the goal, right? So that's why it exists. That's why it's here. So please get the word out, get the message out about the Ezra Institute and other services that we have, such as Naturopathic Eden and Jubilee Manumission, And, like I mentioned, shift from towards birthing. So if anybody's interested in home births or need midwifery or doula assistance, etc., and the Ezra Institute, and Divine Prospect brand, you get some of Divine Prospect here, and then you get the rest of it on the Divine Prospect Patreon, right? Which is the Patreon for KHM, because KHM does not have a Patreon. Because they have other services and programs that they offer. And then we have subsidiaries, and then you have the Divine Prospect brand, right? So, all right. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. There's some updates. Last update, we have a sister ministry that some of y'all might know called Remarkable Ministries, led by the wonderful Gillespie's. Gillespie's. Wow, I said Gillespie's. Gillespie's. And we want to help encourage that ministry. And right now they're involved in a nice little campaign that I would love for everybody here to get involved with. I'll go ahead and share it on the screen. I'm gonna read it. All it takes is a vote. It doesn't cost a dime. It's a vote, so that way they can get a grant to further their leadership academy. So I'm gonna go ahead and share that here on the screen for y'all, so that way y'all can see what it's about and how to get there. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat, and all you gotta do is just sign up. It's a really quick sign up and hit the button to vote. That's the link. I'm going to share this email, and one hand washes the other and both hands wash the face together. That's right. That's right. All right. Let me share this on the screen. It's a little small, so let me go ahead and zoom in. All right. So that should be a little bigger. I'm going to go ahead and read it off. All right. So it says, "Dear friend of Remarkable Leadership Academy, we are so grateful for your generosity and encouragement. Together, we have already raised $2,500 towards launching the Remarkable Leadership Academy. Your support is helping us build leaders who are rooted in covenant identity, confidence, and purpose. We now have an exciting new opportunity or way to further our mission. My husband," and this is coming from Gail Gillespie, David. This is David Gillespie, right? This was the dynamic duo that was behind when we got things kicking off in 2020, 2021, and 2022. If y'all don't remember, has entered America's favorite photos competition with one of his breathtaking shots. The winner receives $10,000, and he has selected Remarkable Life Ministries, of course, the umbrella ministry for Remarkable Leadership Academy, as his charity of choice to receive $10,000. That means your vote can help us multiply our impact and bring in significant support for this life-changing work. Thank you to all of you who have casted your vote and continue to vote every day. David's photo has been maintained in first place, and we are so grateful for your help. Now, what I did in the chat is I went and I dropped the link. All you got to do is click on there. It's a very brief sign up, and then you just click to vote every day until the campaign is over. That's it. It's just a click. Doesn't cost a dime or anything like that. You're helping support one of our sister ministries who have a leadership academy that helps to further the growth and development of potential leaders in our community, right? And they do a great job with their campaign. So if any of you out there are interested in joining a leadership academy, right? Maybe you are a leader in the congregation you're at, or at the job that you're at, or in your personal life somewhere, right? And you just need a little bit more smoothing around the edges, right? They are more than happy to assist you with that. And you can reach them at remarkableministries@gmail.com, right? So everybody right now, please click the link, sign up real quick, hit the vote, and then we will move forward with the show. All right. So thank you in advance for your support. I appreciate that. And again, I try to do my best to feature and or showcase several ministries around the community because KHM is not a congregation, right? So we exist to assist the community with the needs that are there. Hence why we have those programs and services that I mentioned earlier. And we are a hub or a network, right? So a lot of the chapter launches that we have was primarily designed to build the community, right? To have a shared identity and a shared culture so that they can become autonomous in their area and start building out these Goshens, right? For the things that's about to come. So y'all recently know about an assassination that occurred to somebody associated with Trump. And I'm not going to give no names because it's very easy to look out. If you haven't lived under a rock, you know what's going on. And what I'm going to say is, I'm not going to say this is the tipping point, But this is getting us closer to what we call as prophecy, right? Jacob's trouble has already been happening. It's going to be intensified between now and the end of Trump's tenure in office, right? So we got to prepare. And the best way to do that is by building a community that is autonomous. We have to be able to be successfully detethered from all aspects of society and be able to rely on each other to self-govern our affairs day to day. So that way we can survive what's about to come. Because when people chant down Babylon, I say this all the time, when Egypt was being judged, when Israel was in Egypt and Moses was leading them out, the Israelites stayed there while Egypt was being judged. When the Israelites was taken into Babylonian captivity, and we see the birth pains occurring on Babylon that we see fulfilled in Isaiah chapter 45, when Cyrus, the Mashiach of Yah, came, swooped in and destroyed Babylon. Israelites was in there when that was going on. So the point I'm saying, and then they were delivered out. The point I'm saying is, before deliverance, before the regathering, there's going to be persecution of us while Yah judges the nations that have troubled us over the years and persecuted us. So you have to be prepared. Do you have enough water for the next 6 months to a year? Do you have enough food for the next 6 months to a year? Do you know how to forage? Do you know how to hunt? Do you know how to gather items and know in your backyard, or if you're in the forest area, what is edible and what is not? Do you know how to make a shelter? Do you have quick shelter backpack tents? Do you have items that you can be prepared to in the event that you have to be on the go? Because Yeshua said, when the tribulations occur to Israel, starting first in Jerusalem, which we saw happen in 70 AD, and now everywhere that Israel is at has been dispersed before Yah gathers us back, flee to the mountaintops. You have to be ready to leave your house if you could no longer shelter in place and go out in that field and survive. But this is why, along with the Goshen, we have our refuge cities. So the refuge cities are the centers within every so for us, this Cajun. So for all the chapters we have, the refuge cities are designated places, what we call black sites, that we can run to for temporary shelter, for temporary resource and supplies until we get to a Goshen that's off grid, right? So the refuge cities are there so that if we're being persecuted, we have a centralized place that we can go to until we can then, as a group together, make our way to the Goshen. And the Goshen is going to be off grid. Most resources that's going to be used in regards to the persecution of not just us, but other groups as well, other people as well. They're going to centralize those resources in major cities, right? And the outskirts of major cities. Anybody that's off grid, it's not worth the resources to go and get them, right? Because the majority of the population is in the cities. Once you control the cities, you control the resources and everything that's coming in and out of those cities, right? However, if you're operating off the grid and you're able to create your own resources and you live off the resources that's there on the land, then there's no need for you to go to a major city. So we have to make sure that we're able to defend ourselves, feed ourselves, clothe ourselves, make sure that we have shelter, and make sure that we have Yah at the center of what we do. And we have to learn diplomacy and tact to learn how to work together as a community. Because when these things happen, we don't have time to figure out, oh, do I believe this doctrine? Do I like this person? There's no time for that, right? This is a survival mode that we have to enter in until Yah delivers us out. But again, that is on us to do. Wait out the persecution, wait out the judgment of the nations before he's able to deliver us. And all of us is not going to make it, unfortunately, right? Because they'll be ill prepared. But those of us who are prepared, we know what to do. I know a lot of people have been asking me to do a series on this survival thing and end time. My thing is, whatever the prophecy is the prophecy. That's not my concern. My concern is preparing for the prophecy, surviving the prophecy. Because you got people all the time, they just throw out prophecy. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen all the time. But they never tell you how to prep for it. They never tell you what you can do in the midst of it. I've released a document not too long ago that's entitled Nation Building. Is anybody reading that? I've been sending various. Matter of fact, let me show you a book real quick. Let me show you, because I have a couple of these on the Patreon. Let me show you a book real quick. Survival Ready. Life-saving skills and expert advice for surviving any threat at any time. Active shooters, natural disasters, civil unrest, wilderness survival, kidnapping, travel dangers, and more. I have like 10, 12 different books like this. And I put some of these resources also on the Patreon for you to access. So the key thing is, are we reading this daily? Do we know what to do when these situations happen? And if you don't, and you're ill prepared, you're going to get swept up with the judgments. And that is not my wish for y'all, and that's not y'all's wish for y'all. So we have to be prepared. Pick up this resource, go on the Patreon, type in survival, or similar words, and you'll find these books and resources that I've placed on there for you. This is our obligation, not just to us, but to our family that's around us, to our children, to our community. All praise to the Most High, yeah. All right. Also, family, I want to apologize for the noise you may hear in the background. I have some cleaners over, so they're cleaning the house, so they vacuum in and doing other things. So they may hear a little bit of ambient noise, but I know we can stay focused to the message, right? All right. So that's all I want to share with y'all on today. Now we can open up to the Q&A if anyone has any Q&A. But like I said, Jacob's trouble is about to intensify. I just want to make sure that y'all are ready for it. I just want to make sure. And in the interim, your day-to-day life, to make sure that you are encouraged. We have tons of encouragement videos on here, empowerment videos on here. I recently did a post on the Patreon a couple months ago about how to pray properly. And I will be doing a follow-up lecture on that because I know y'all been bugging me about that. But we also have our meditation book, right? Meditation by the Book is the name of the video out here on as well. And this will all help you to internally cleanse yourself so that you're ready for what's about to come. Because if you're not internally well and can't conquer self, then there's no way you can conquer any task outside of self, right? And if you're interested in signing up with KHM, we give you the fresh skills courses that help you learn the basics of not just running an organization, but diplomacy and tact as well, and how to do time management, and how to deal tactfully with others, and conflict resolution, and little skills like that. All these things one has to learn before becoming a member of KHM, so you know how to operate, and we just want to instill these skills into those who sign up with us for their journey with us for however long it is, so that way they can bring these skills with them wherever they go, right? So the good thing about Kingdom Harbinger Ministries is we're not here to lock anybody down forever. Unless you want to stay with us forever, we would love that. But if you don't, and you're just passing through, we want to make sure we equip you appropriately so that you can take what was given to you and you can bring it on to the next stop in your journey, right? So all praises. So floor is open. If anybody has any questions, anybody wants to chat, let me know. Let me give a couple of shout outs while I wait for the questions. Let's see. Shout out to HaKodesh Management. Shalom. Simone King. Shalom says, learn a lot. Shalom. Mars Green. Shalom. AJ Bethea. Shalom. Yahosef Ben Yisrael. Shalom King. Yashar Napah. Shalom. Big Chief Prince Vision. Shalom. Simply Saved. Shalom. Damon Williamson. Shalom. Micaiah. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Shalom, my brother. If I said it wrong, apologize. Shalom, Jaslyn Berry. Shalom, Remarkable Ministries in the building. Shalom, Panther de Noir. Shalom, Larry. Shalom, SH. Shalom, Ariel. Shalom, Yash Chosen. Shalom, Karima Poet. Shalom, sis. Feed the Spirit. Shalom. All right. So we got some people up in here. If anybody else is in here and want to shout out, just hit one. All right, just ask. Shout out to Jewish Israel in the building. Shalom. Let me see. Do y'all believe in the 12 tribes chart and that Gentiles can be grafted in? All right, great question. No, we do not subscribe to the 12 tribes chart. We don't. And I've done several videos on this. Let me see if I can grab one for you real quick. And I think I can get one for you real quick. And I put this one out there really to kind of stir the pot. Let me see if it's here. All right, here we go. This one I did years ago, but I've done other videos on it as well. But this is like the classic one right here, where we do deal with why we don't subscribe to the chart. I also did a lecture on this one. Let me see if I can grab that lecture for you too. Let me see. Yeah, if you have some time this Shabbat, sis, check these things out. Let me post that here as well. All right, that's 2 for you. Shalom to my brother Ash in the building. Shalom, King. All right, sis. So yeah, check those out, sis. Also, can Gentiles be grafted in? All right. Now, when we say grafted in, let me see if I can be succinct and concise in answering this question for you. So, according to scriptures that we read, Gentiles can cleave unto Israelites and be a part of the nation. However, in the end times, like we were talking about the end times, Gentiles will serve Israelites in the kingdom. There is a kingdom hierarchy. I didn't make this up. This is what scripture says. There is a kingdom hierarchy, and all of those Gentiles that cleave unto Israel, they're going to go when we have that kingdom era, that messianic era, they're going to go into the kingdom with Israel. They're going to serve Israel, and they're going to want to know the law. Right? And they're going to be going, we see this in the book of Micah, chapter 4. These Gentiles are going to know the law. We're going to see in scripture where they grab the skirt of a Jew and say to them that they want to know about their God. The Gentiles can become part of the nation of Israel, the same way that the Ben Nakar, the same way that the Gar, and all these other strangers that are mentioned in Torah became part of the community. They were second-class citizens in the community, which is not a bad thing because they are in somebody else's house. They're in the house of Israel. But they were able to serve Israel, and some of them had a degree of independence, right, from not being servants of Israel. But we see scripture mention these strangers. These are not wayward Israelites that we see in Torah. That's called a stranger. These are actually strangers of another ethnic group. Some of them was from the Arav, which is the mixed multitude, and some of them came in while they entered into the land, right? So the covenant of Yah, which we see in Deuteronomy, involves these other nations. Let's take a look at it, right? And we've been teaching this for over 10 years now. Let's take a look at it. Let me bring this up real quick. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 29 and verse 10. Right. And I want to show y'all something so we can show you that this has always been the case. All right. Yeah. So Ruth was a Moabite. Ruth was of another ethnic group. But remember, Moabites were allowed to come into the congregation according to Deuteronomy. They were allowed to come into the congregation. And in the situation with Ruth married an Israelite. So if a non-Israelite woman or a Gentile, ethnically Gentile, marries an Israelite man, she comes into the fold. The key thing is that individual has to be yoked with the man in worshiping Yah and culturally being an Israelite, etc. Their ethnicity does not change, and they still will have to serve Israel in the kingdom, right? But they're going to serve Israel according to the Torah, according to how those Gentiles and strangers operated within Israel. There's not going to be chattel slavery where you're whipping and beating and buck breaking and raping the women. That's not going to happen, because you have some Israelite camps that say, oh, we're going to do the same thing to the white man and the white woman that they did to us in slavery. No, because the law is going to go out into the land, and that's not permissible via Torah. So there's no way that you're going to be doing all of that. And those who are saying that have wicked hearts, and Yah is going to cast them out. They're going to be part of the 2/3 that's going to be casted out. But let me show you something real quick. So in Deuteronomy chapter 29, and I'm going to link this with Joshua, I'm going to show you something. Deuteronomy chapter 29, we're going to start at verse 10, right? And again, this is who can enter into the covenant. And those Gentiles, once they serve their time in the millennial reign, they're going to enter into eternity. The question is, what gate are they going to enter in? Well, whatever tribe they cleave unto, that's the gate they're going through. They did their penance for that 1,000 years of serving Israel and subjecting themselves to prophecy, right? By proxy of the nations that they're part of and what they've done to Israel. But they've cleaved, so they're not going to be destroyed with their nation. But when they get into the kingdom, they will be serving Israel within the gates of New Jerusalem. They will be serving Israel. But they will be serving Israel according to Torah, and Israelites have to treat them as they treat one another. Okay. We ain't got a lot of time to delineate and to explicate all this information. So we're gonna keep it concise. Let's get to Deuteronomy chapter 29. Let's read this real quick. And I want to show you something. All right, let me show this with you real quick. All right, Deuteronomy. How come I don't see it? Where is it at? Oh, here it is. All right, tripping. All right. It says, you are standing today, all of you, before Yahweh Elohecha, right? The heads of your tribes, your elders and your officers, all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and the sojourner who is in your camp, from the one who chops your wood to the one who draws your water, so that you all, that's the second person plural, may enter into the sworn covenant of Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahu, Elohecha, your power, which Yahu, Yahweh, Yahweh, Elohecha is making with you today, you all, that he may establish you today as his people, and that he may be your God as he promised you. Now he switches over, singular, and as he swore to your fathers, one of the Israelites, Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Remember, Abraham had servants in his household that was not from the same lineage as him, and they were circumcised. So we see the same element in Exodus 12 or Shemot 12, where the strangers amongst Israel, who is a permanent resident, they have to partake in Passover, so they are also circumcised. And that circumcision is a token of the covenant. It shows their allegiance to the God of Israel. Okay. And with whoever is not here with us today, so those in the future also have an opportunity to covenant with Yah. And we said that also here. Let me go here. I'm gonna go back to this real quick. Before we get there, let's jump. Let's go to Isaiah real quick. This is the 1-2 punch. All right, it's a 1-2 combination. We get Isaiah chapter 56, verse 3. Let not the foreigner. Oh, that's the wayward Israelite. No. At this point, those wayward Israelites are already taken out the land. Let not the foreigner who has joined himself to Yah say, Yah will surely separate me from his people. Again, his people will be the northern and southern tribes. And let not the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree. But thus says Yah, to the eunuchs who keep my Sabbaths, who choose the things that please me and hold fast my covenant, I will give in my house and within my walls a monument and a name better than sons and daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. And the foreigners who join themselves to Yah, to minister to him, to love the name of Yah, to be his servants, everyone who keeps the Sabbath and does not profane it and holds fast my covenant, these I will bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifice will be accepted on my altar, for my house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples. Amim, plural. And then he says, Yah says, who gathers the outcasts of Israel and declares, I will gather yet others to him beside those already gathered. This is reaching out and beyond just ethnic Israel and bringing the other nation, individuals from other nations, not other nations, individuals from other nations who are cleaving unto them. Let's get this in Micah real quick, and we're going to go back and see who are those strangers that chops the wood that lives amongst Israel that is foretelling about. We're going to take a look at that. But first, let's go to Micah. All right, Micah chapter 4. And it says, it shall come to pass in the latter days that the mountain of the house of Yah, what we mean mountain? What we see here, holy mountain. We're going to see. Okay. And it says, shall be established as the highest of the mountains, and it shall be lifted up above the hills, and people shall flow to it. And what many goyim, many nations shall come and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of Yah, to the house of the God of Jacob, that he may teach us his ways and that we may walk in his paths. That's Torah. Yara is the root word for Torah, which means to take an arrow and aim it towards a target. That's reaching his derech, his way. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord, or Yah, from Jerusalem. He shall judge between many peoples, and shall decide disputes for strong nations far away. That's not Israel. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore, but they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid, for the mouth of Yah of hosts has spoken. For all peoples walk each in the name of their God. You see that? All those peoples walk the name of their God until this latter day comes when they're going to go and attach themselves to Yah. But we will walk in the name of our power, or Yah, our power, forever and ever. All right? So let's go back and take a look at this. Let me go back to Deuteronomy chapter 29. We need to see who this is referring to. And I'm going to show you. All right? Let's go to Joshua chapter 9. Okay, let's go to Joshua chapter 9. And we're going to look at who these people are. Here we go. Joshua chapter 9. All right. And this is a very, very peculiar situation in Joshua. And it says, let's go here. Verse 3. Now Joshua, let's start at verse 1. As soon as all the kings who were beyond the Jordan in the hill country and in the lowland, all on the coast of the great sea towards Lebanon, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites heard of this, they gathered together as one to fight against Joshua and Israel. Watch this. But when the inhabitants of Gibeon heard that what Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, they on their part acted with cunning and went and made ready provisions and took worn out sacks for their donkeys and wineskins, worn out and torn and mended, with worn out patched sandals on their feet and worn out clothing. They looked bummy. All right. They bummed out. Okay. Because you're going to see why they bummed out. Right. But what I want to show you here is this. Right. And we're going to transition. Again, I'm going to show you who these woodcutters are. In Joshua chapter 4, this word right here, orma, gal, prudence, subtlety, willily, wisdom, shrewdness. Word orem. It's very similar to word arum that we're going to see when we get into Genesis chapter 3, when we do the lecture on what's the ontology of the serpent in the Garden of Eden. When we do that lecture, we're going to go into these details. But this is something very interesting because it's somebody who is devising or planning something, right? You can do it for good. You can do it to be deceiving, but we're going to see. And it says, with worn out patched sandals on their feet and worn out clothes, and all their provisions were dry and crumbly. And they went to Joshua in the camp at Gilgal and said to him and to the men of Israel, we have come from a distant country, so now make a covenant with us. So the men of Israel said to the Hivites, perhaps you live among us, then how can we make a covenant with you? They said to Joshua, we are your servants. And Joshua said to them, who are you and where do you come from? They said to him, from a very distant country, your servants have come because of the name of Yah, your power. And because of Yah, it's because of Yah's fame and his reputation has gone out in the land. Same thing when we see in Joshua, when Joshua went into Jericho to spy it out. And then we see Rahab say, we've heard about your God. Right. So now the fame of Yah is going out. This is what Yah wants. This is why everything you do. Let me show you this real quick. Man, I'm trying to stay focused, but another scripture came to mind. It's very important. Let's go to Exodus chapter 20. And I go over this all the time because people be thinking that when you say, God damn, that's a curse. And it's not a curse. That's what the scripture says. Exodus chapter 20, verse 7. You shall not take the name of Yah, your power, in vain, for Yah will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. So the problem here is people think the name of God. If you say God damn, that's not saying the name of God. God is not a name. It's not a personal name. It's not a personal pronoun. It's not a proper pronoun. I mean, proper noun. It's not. So God is just a title. Lord is just a title. He has a name. But this is not talking about what you think it's talking about. Okay, and I shared the video on this too, where I showed you some scholars that also broke this down, and I broke it down before I even knew this was the scholarly interpretation of it. But it says, "Lo tita et Shem or Shem Yahweh Elohecha lasor, ki lo yenache Yahweh et asher yisor et shemo lasor." Right. So the key thing is you should not take. Well, this word "take" is not really good. This is a qual, what we call qual verb, imperfect second person, masculine singular. The Tom that we see here puts it in the second person, masculine singular. We get that because we see the suffix here is an aleph, imperfect. This also puts it in imperfect, which means future tense, right? Or from a point that is existing in the current going into the future. When we see the root word for that, this literally means, nasal really means to carry, lift up, yield, bear. You see that? That's literally what it means, to bring up, bring forth. So you should not lift up, carry, bear, et shem, or et shem here, em shem, when we say shem, the name. No. We're not talking about Yah, Yahu, Yahweh, Yahweh. That's not what this is talking about. In this context, this is referring to his reputation, his fame, him being renowned, the report of who he is. You see that? His reputation, his character. You shall not carry, bear, or lift up what? His character, his name, his fame, and reputation of who? Yahweh Elohecha, right? That's what we said, right? In vain. What would he mean in vain? Shav literally means worthlessness, vanity, emptiness, falsely. Meaning that when we walk the paths that we take in life, the places that we go, his name, we are carrying it like this. And if we carry it like this in front of us, people need to see his name, his character before they see you. When you walk in, they already know, whoa, something different about them. I see something, I just can't interpret it. We have to carry his fame. When we learn about Yah's character, when we learn about his fame, his reputation, who he is, and he revealed this to Moshe, that we see if you continue to read the Torah and the book of Exodus, he talks about what his name is and what it means. Once we learn that character, that's what we have to carry every day. Because he's not going to hold you guiltless if you carry, bear, what? Yisar, it, shemor. Right here, this is the third person masculine singular. This is the o means his, shem, his name. It is a direct object marker pointing the action of the nominative subject is directly and only and absolutely acting on the recipient noun, which in this case is his fame, reputation, us carrying, bearing his name, his reputation in vain, in emptiness. Because if we claim to be Israelites, and when people see us, we don't look different than nobody else, we are carrying his name in vanity, for show, for fashion, for fun, for ish and giggles. He's not going to hold you guiltless for doing that. So let's go back. Just wanted to bring that up so you can kind of see that, right? And why that's relevant here, because they heard their name, and the Israelites under Joshua, everywhere they go, people are seeing Yah with them. So they said to him, from very distant country, servants have come because of the reputation of Yah. For we have heard a report of him. You see that? And all that he did in Egypt. This is the same thing they heard. The same thing that's said by Rahab in Jericho. And it says, and all that he did to the two kings and of the Amorites. Remember, Joshua and the Israelites are not getting credit. They said they heard what he did to them. He gets the credit. So our elders and all inhabitants of our country said to us, take provisions in your hand for the journey and go to meet them and say to them, we are your servants. Come now and make a covenant with us. Right now, again, they're acting very crafty. Right. Here is our bread. It was still warm when we took it out of our houses as our food for the journey on the day we set out to come to you. But now, behold, it is dry and crumbly. These wineskins were new when we filled them. And behold, they have burst. And these garments and sandals of ours are worn out from their very long journey, even though the sandals of the Israelites, while they was wandering in the wilderness, Yah said it did not wear out. And Joshua made peace with them and made a covenant with them. Once you make a covenant in this time, this is an oath. You can't go back on it. To let them live, and the leaders of the congregation swore to them. Remember, these are people who live within the land of Canaan. These are not Israelites, right? So I'm going to jump down. Let me go to, let me read it. At the end of the 3 days, after they had made a covenant with them, they heard that they were their neighbors and that they lived among them. And the people of Israel set out and reached their cities on the third day. Now their cities were Gibeon, Kephirah, Beeroth, and Kiriath Yearim. And it says, but the people of Israel did not attack them because the leaders of the congregation had sworn to them by Yah, the power of Israel. Then all the congregation murmured against the leaders. But all the leaders said to the congregation, we have sworn to them by Yah, the power of Israel, and now we may not touch them. This we will do to them. Let them live, lest the wrath be upon us. See, they took oaths very seriously because of the oath that we swore to them. And the leader said to them, let them live. So they became what? This is the reason why I took you here, so we can see what Deuteronomy 29:10 is talking about. So they became cutters of wood and drawers of water for all the congregation, just as the leaders had said. So when you see that reference in Deuteronomy chapter 29, now you know who it's talking about. Let's go back to it again. And we're going to start at verse 11. Your little ones, your wives, and the sojourner who is in your camp, from the one who what? Chops your wood to the one who draws your water. The choppers of wood and the drawers of water that lived amongst them were Canaanite peoples. They were able to enter into the covenant because they have taken off their culture. They have taken off their history to adopt Yah's culture, Yah's history, Yah's supremacy, authority, and character, because they've heard his fame and reputation, and they rather serve who? They're serving Yah through his people. This is an example of the cleaving process. You see that? They had to cleave to Israel in order for Yah to spare them. And this is also part of what we call the rules of engagement in Torah. Well, let me get you the rules of engagement in Torah. Let me get it for you. Let me give it to you real quick. All right, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 20. Let's go back a little bit in verse 18, I think verse 10 to 18. Let's go to 10. All right, here's your rules of engagement, okay? When you draw near to a city to fight against it, which we saw Joshua was doing, offer terms of peace to it. The terms of peace was not initiated by Joshua, but it was initiated by the people in the city. And if it responds to you peaceably and it opens to you, then all the people who are found in it shall do forced labor for you and shall serve you. This is what we see that those people did. You see that? This is rules of engagement. They had to make a peace treaty with them. They cannot attack them, but they can make them serve them. In that case, they did it willingly because they didn't want to be destroyed. But if a covenant is made like that, the Israelites cannot do nothing to them because this is part of the legal contract that Israel has agreed to follow under Joshua. So when they went into Canaan, if they had a situation like this, this is what they had to do. Okay. But they don't make peace with you, then you can go to war and take whatever spoil and booty you want. So strangers can covenant with Yah. Strangers will cleave unto Israelites, natural born ethnic Israelites. And those strangers will be allies of us right now, servants of us in the millennium, and then share with us in eternity afterwards. That is what I teach over here. That is what I share based on research and deep prayer to understand the text. And if you join our classes, I'll show you how to use the same methodology to uncover the same understanding that is clearly there in the text, but sometimes it can be concealed by the language, concealed by dogma, and concealed by your own personal presuppositions and theological constructs. We remove all of that and we get to the meat and potatoes of what the text is saying. We feast on it and allow it to become part of us so we may walk in Yah's character wherever we go, thereby fulfilling one of the 10 commandments that we broke down earlier in Exodus chapter 20. Hopefully that thoroughly answers your questions. All right. No, you good. You good. We got you anchored down. All right. So this is what the text says. So if somebody brings this up to you again, you can definitely share these passages with them. All right. You can go back on the replay, write them down, and share those passages with them. All right. But if you join our classes, sign up for our Patreon, www.patreon.com/divine prospect. We give you the same methodology to break everything down in an even deeper format. So you can be well rooted and anchored down, and whatever the spirit was moving on you to say, wait, this is wrong, or wait, this doesn't sound right from what I'm reading, and then grafts you back into the understanding of Yah by walking the ancient paths. The problem is a lot of Israelites today are not doing this depth of research, right? Now you may see some other camps that are now coming to the forefront, and they are coming into this realization that Yah is going to graft in Gentiles, right? Not Gentile nations, but Gentile individuals who cleave unto Israel to make a peace treaty with them, to serve Israel and ally with Israel so they can enter into New Jerusalem and then eventually enter into eternity to the gate of the Israelite who they cleaved unto. All praises to the Most High. It is what it is. I'm just walking y'all through a little bit. Make sure we want to add scripture to this. All right. Interesting, Ja. Interesting. I don't want to go too deep into the Kirk situation. Not right now. Still premature. Need to give some time for it to bake a little bit before I can speak on it. Key thing is what you're seeing here is part of the tipping point that's going to put this country in disarray. So strap up, prepare. Let's set up our refuge cities. Let's set up our Goshens. So if ish hits the fan, we're prepared to move. Okay. We got books on the Patreon to teach you what's edible in your backyard and forest areas or whatever. We have wayfinding. We have books on survival. We have all of that stuff. We even have a whole paper. Well, it's not a paper. It's a book on nation building. Just do a search for it on the Patreon. You'll find so much valuable information that no matter what happens, whatever prophecy is going to happen, the key thing is let us be prepared in advance for it, not figuring out our way through it. And if your leaders are not teaching you how to prepare, not abstractly, but actually prepare concretely for these items, then I don't know what to tell you. They are failing you. They're scaring you into subscribing. They're scaring you to watch the next video. They're not aptly preparing you for what's about to come. They're not creating institutions. They're not creating Goshens and refuge cities to prepare you for when things hit the fan. At KHM, that is our motto. That's what we're here to do. It's to prepare you for what's about to come. At Harbinger is when that goes before a king or a dignitary to announce his arrival to the city, to the town, to the country. Before he gets there, make preparations for him to arrive and stay, and then also prep the people to receive him. We're not prepared for the banquet that Yah has for us because we don't have the proper kingdom etiquette. Without etiquette, you can't sit at the table. Without etiquette, you're not going to properly know the protocol to receive Yah. And without the etiquette, you don't have the training and instructions to know how to maneuver within the kingdom. Okay. Let me reel back a little bit. All right. Okay. All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, listen, when these things happen, do not get caught up in it. Don't get caught up in it. Let the world worry about that. Only thing that should be is a marker, a time marker, and say, whoop, things about to get ramped up. Let me prepare. Let me go deep in meditation, deep in prayer. Let me fine tune my network of people that are around me, the ones who's going to be on go and ready. Let me make sure I have the resources. Let me learn the land that I live in. Let me make sure that I have a refuge city. Let me make sure that I have enough food and water and medical supplies and items to protect me, and make sure I have enough power from power banks, solar power, etc., to make sure if I need to use electricity, I can use it. Make sure I know how to build shelters. This is what you should be learning during tabernacles. Let me make sure that we are aptly prepared for what's about to come. Do not get stirred up. Do not get emotional. Do not get being drawn away by the things that the world cares about. Yah's doing that to distract them so you can prepare, to get them off your back so you can prepare. Let them be distracted. You build while they distract. Yah already gave us instructions on what to do while we're in captivity. Build houses and live in them. Plant gardens and eat from them. Make sure you increase in the land. Marry your children amongst one another. Create community. And then you pray for the peace of the city so Yah can intervene, so that in its peace you shall have peace. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So whatever's happening out there in society, everybody got something to say. Everybody's stirred up. Everybody's whispering and rumors. And I don't get caught up in none of that. I say, thank you, Yah, for allowing these things to happen so I can focus and I can prepare for your arrival and prepare your people in the process. That's all I'm saying. Now, y'all grown. Y'all could do whatever you want. But I'm simply letting you know, even when the Israelites were living in the land and you had the Assyrians come, right? You had whispers and rumors about the Assyrians, and the Assyrians came. The only ones that stayed behind, the remnant that stayed behind, were the ones who were not involved in the politics. Same thing with Babylon. Same thing with Persia. Same thing with the Greeks. The Greeks, you had a good amount of them revolted and prepared and had the Maccabean revolt and established the Hasmonean dynasty. For almost 100 years, we had autonomy while the Greeks were ruling, until we had people internally divide and conquer and allow the Romans to come in. But then the Israelites, the Jews, waged 3 wars after that with the Romans until they was excommunicated for good. The key thing that I'm saying is wars and rumors of wars. Rumors, highlights. You don't think this is being sensationalized for a reason? They're trying to keep you distracted. They're trying to confuse you. They're trying to get you emotional. When you anchored in Yah, you don't have a spirit of fear, a spirit of concern. You don't have these issues. You're not worried about what they're worried about. That's why when people talk to me about this stuff all the time, I said, okay, thank you for sharing. Then I get back to my focus. We have to do the same thing, family. All right? Okay. I agree with you, sister. You love Yah. Shalom. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to Antoinette Clark in the building. Shalom, sis. Marlo Eugene, shalom, King. How you doing? Ron Shavat Ben Lewi, shalom, shalom, King. My brother Emmanuel in the building. Shalom. Well, he actually did speak on that recently, and I thought he did agree with what I just shared. Because, you know, so certain Israelites reach out to me from time to time and consult with me. But at the time, I'll chat with them. Sometimes I don't have the time. But I've had communications with those brothers, and we've shared doctrinal information. I don't talk about personal stuff. People know me. I don't get into the personal stuff and the who, and all that stuff. I just deal with the information. So if you have information, you want to talk to me about it, we can talk about the information. Don't give me no rumors, no personal matter. We just talk about the information, right? When I discuss my type of things with these leaders. And a lot of these camps are now seeing the text for what it is. They're moving away from the dogma that they were taught from the One West paradigm. And now they're getting more into scholarship. Why? Because we are under attack consistently, constantly. Every day the Israelite community is under attack. From all these auxiliary communities, they're attacking us. The problem is Are we prepared for those attacks with the proper apologetic? We haven't been for years. So when that situation kicked off years ago with Vocab Malone and James White, I was at the forefront of that. I was at the forefront, championing that we should get deeper into our studies. But I was saying that since 2013. I was telling us that we need to get deep into our studies since then. And then coming out publicly on the scene in 2014, telling y'all the same thing, getting right into the information and scholarship. Because if you don't have that footing, then you're going to move off that pivot. And then guess what happens? In basketball, you have a pivot foot. After you take 2 steps, you got a pivot foot. And once you move off that pivot, penalty is called, and you got to give up the rock. So I think a lot of them get into that. Some of them are still headstrong and they're not going to change for nothing. But when I sit down, I break it down to them. A lot of them, when they listen, they're like, you know what, you're right. I even had some leaders in camp say, you know what, Divine, you're 100% correct. I just can't change right now because my camp is set up this way, this, and that. It's too many camp politics that's keeping them from what the text is actually saying. Naeem Mead, shalom. Thank you for joining us. DJ, shalom, King. I pray all is well. My brother, Get Wise. How y'all doing? My brothers is in the building. What's going on, brothers? Yeah. Solomon is not saying that he's black. Now, on the other hand, the Shulamite woman, she's black. And the text is very clear about her complexion and pigmentation in her skin. Not Solomon. And she's out in the field a lot. So then now she's sun-kissed. So her skin is even darker. She said she's dark like the tents of Kedar. And I showed y'all in that cultural book what the tents of Kedar looks like. I know some of y'all remember. Right? Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. All praises. You know you're my dude, man. All right, let me see if I can answer one more question. Not by itself. You need oral tradition. You need migration patterns from their ancestors. You need culture. You need the history. So DNA alone is not enough to identify who's an Israelite and who's not. Right now, you may ask that about bloodline Israelites. You have those in archaeology that try to say, or bioarchaeology that try to say that J1, J2 are the major haplogroups for bloodline Israelites. But that's also shared by Arabs and other Semites in that region as well, who don't identify as Israelites and or Jews. So you can't just follow the DNA marker, because a lot of people that have the same DNA, but they have different cultures, different histories, different backgrounds, different deities they worship. So that alone is not sufficient enough to identify who's an Israelite and who's not. But it is helpful in delineating, parsing through, and coming to a deductive understanding of those who are Israelites or who could be Israelites, right? And this is why I did 3 lectures on this subject matter. And I have one coming up for next year that's going to put a whole exclamation mark on everything. Very important. But I've shared those things as well. So, all right. Is there any effort to unite the leadership of various communities so we are not disjointed and can become a single nation? I am willing to assist in the process. Thank you so much, Learn a Lot, for your aspirations for the community, your desire to put your hand to the plow. I'm going to say this. Unfortunately, there's no way that we're all going to come together in any singularity within this community, because that's not scripture. Scripture says we're going to be on the 4 corners of the earth. We will be divided. And it is Yah's job to gather us together as one nation. So we can't do it. You see, the Zionists try, right, in 1948 to create the state of Israel. And they were the secular Jews who said, no, that prophecy stuff, that's just in your book. We're going to make this happen. And now you see the state that Israel's in today. So that's what happened when man attempts to bring forth Yah's prophecy, the same way that Abraham and Sarah tried to bring forth prophecy, and they created Ishmael. So there's no way we all can come together. However, we can thin the herd out by putting this information out, and those who awaken to it and cleave unto the unifying element so that we can come together, then yes, we can work with them. So, learn or not, if you're interested, we have chapters like in different cities. We have a playlist where I go out and I talk to people in particular cities and tell them why KHM has opened up a chapter in their city. And we go through the unifying process there in those lectures. There's a whole playlist for that. So one of my admins, can you drop the playlist for the KHM chapter launches in the chat for Learn a Lot? And if you're interested, brother, in helping us become united and create these resources for us to cleave onto when the time comes, feel free to sign up for KHM. The link is in the description. You can click the link to sign up and join KHM. We would love to have you on board, brother. And you can see internally the work that we're doing to kind of bring things together so it's not as disjointed like you mentioned. Okay. All right. So Dan Smith, shalom, Dan Smith, shalom. How do we pray for someone that we know who has a disdain for my race? I don't know what race are you, Dan? What race are you? My brother Malachiah. I'm sorry, I thought it was 2 I's before, 2 A's. I was confused. But yes, so when the Sabbath begins at evening, and the Sabbath commences the following evening. That's the 7th day of the week, according to the Hebraic calendar. However, there's a Shabbaton, the on that you hear, which is a cholam and final noon. The on indicates a diminutive, which means it is a smaller, endearing part of a larger whole. That, according to Exodus or Shemot chapter 16, is the period of time where we rest. And if you read Exodus 16, that was based on them gathering manna from daylight, when the day broke, all the way to when the sun set. That period of time is the portion of the day, which varies from day to day, right? Because it's not absolute. It varies from day to day when you're looking empirically, when you're perceiving empirical data from your environment, right? Like feeling the warmth of the sun and seeing the sun in the sky rising and setting. That is the period of time where they would gather the manna that they are to rest from that labor on the 6th day. I'm saying on the 7th day. And on the 6th day, they will work double to make sure there's portions available for that 7th day. So the Sabbath day, as the 7th day of the week, begins at evening on Friday and ends at evening on Saturday. But the rest period is the Shabbaton, is the daylight portion of that 24-hour period. So hopefully that answers your question. All right. Can we cook on the Sabbath? If you cook on the Sabbath, that requires a lot of effort. So you should not be cooking on the Sabbath. The only time that you should cook on the Sabbath is if it's an immediate emergency and you need nourishment immediately, or you will die. You're supposed to make preparations the prior day so you have those provisions on the Sabbath day. This is, again, what we see in Shemot 16 or Exodus 16, right? Now, can I heat something up in the microwave? Sure. Can I warm something up in an air fryer? Sure. This does not require any effort from you to cook the item. If you use a microwave or air fryer, you're not kindling a fire. You're using heat. And the heat is pretty much doing the work by the machine. The device is doing the work by itself using electricity with a touch of a button. That's not work. That's not effort. So yes, you can warm food up, but if you're going to go and cook food, that is work that you're doing on the Sabbath, and it makes the Sabbath like every other day. And that's the key thing. Yah says, do not what? We cannot hollow out the Sabbath. We cannot keep the Sabbath in vain, in emptiness. The Sabbath cannot be common like every other day. It must be distinct from every other day of the week. And we have to treat it as such. That's important. So in times past, they had to put more effort and work in to cook food. Today, we have devices where we can warm stuff up without having to physically cook. Save your cooking from Sunday to Friday. But when it comes to that Sabbath, which is the sunrise on Saturday to the sunset on Saturday, you should not be doing any hard labor to cook and make things. You should be preparing food and or warming food up. There should not be a lot of effort. The preparation should be done the evening before or the day prior. Hopefully that answers your question, right? That's what we need to strive to do, right? Everybody's situation is different, but that is the goal, to strive to do that. right? When it says you must keep these things with all our heart, soul, and might, what you mean all your might, all that you are capable of doing. That's what that phrase means, all your might. That means you may not always do it correctly all the time, but you're striving to do it with all your effort, all your might. All praise to the Most High. Hopefully that answers your question. I call him Unc. Unc is in the building. Moray Unc is in the building. How you doing, Pastor? Thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that, King. Always stay tuned to We Woke Now. You make some great videos. I don't know if you did one on Kirk yet, because I haven't watched your channel maybe the last couple of days of this week, but maybe you did something on there. I'm gonna go check it out. But if you do something on that, then I would advise everybody to go to We Woke Now's YouTube channel and check out any further content he creates in regards to the Kirk situation. All right. So thank you so much for that, Elder. I appreciate it. I call him Pastor Unc. Appreciate that. Now learn a lot. I don't know what you're talking about. So Yeruba'al, watch the chapter launches. In the chapter launch videos, we discuss all of that. So go check out the playlist. I don't know if one of my mods dropped the link in the chat. I don't see my mods working, so let me do it. Let me go ahead and do it then. Thought my mods will be holding me down. They're probably really involved in the content of what we're doing. So let me go ahead and add that playlist for the chapter launches, and you'll see we discuss it in the chapter launches. Where's that video? Where's the playlist? Let me just type it in. There we go. All right, here we go. I'm gonna drop that here for y'all. Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate that. I already know, Pastor. I already know. Appreciate your service to the community. Oh, okay. I got you, learn a lot. All right, no doubt, brother. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. You are absolutely correct, brother. Thank you so much, my brother Malachiah, for the donation as well. I appreciate that. All right, let me see. Any last question if we close up? Oh, right here. Yeah. So Yeruba'al, click on the link that I added for the KHM chapter launch playlist, and you'll see the answer to that. All right. All right. Any last questions, or can we wrap up? We did 1 hour and 20 minutes. Jan, what's going on, Jan? Shalom. All right. Anytime, brother. Don Dada official. All right, we'll end off in this last question. What's up, Aki? Can I get a clear understanding of John 8:58? All right, John 8:58. I've tackled this numerous times, but I'm gonna close out on this, brother. No problemo. All right, people use this all the time to say, "Oh, Jesus is pre-existent," and just take a look at that. John 8:58. Let me take a look. Let's go ahead and all right. All right, I'm going to do this briefly, but I'm starting at verse 48, go down to 59. The Jews answered him, "Are we not right in saying that you are a Samaritan and have a demon?" Jesus answered, "I do not have a demon, but I honor my Father, and you dishonor me. Yet I do not seek my own glory. There is one who seeks it, and he is the judge. Truly, truly, I say to you, if anyone keeps my word, he will never see death." Look at this. Anyone who keeps my word, he will never see death. The Jews said to him, "Now we know that you have a demon. Abraham died, as did the prophets. Yet you say, if anyone keeps my word, he will never taste death. So we have the reference to Abraham. Now let's do this. Let's do this. All right, let's do this. All right, we have Abraham 9 out of 13 times on this page. The first mention of Abraham is right here. Verse 31 says, so Jesus said to the Jews who had believed him, if you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. They answered him, we are offspring of Abraham and have never been enslaved to anyone. How is it that you say you will become free? First mention of Abraham has to do with them being a biological seed of Abraham. Yeshua says, I know that you are the offspring of Abraham, yet you seek to kill me because my word finds no place in you. He refers to Abraham. They say it again. They answer him, Abraham is our father. And Yeshua says, if you were Abraham's children, again, descendancy, progeny, you would be doing the works Abraham did. But now you seek to kill me, a man who has told you the truth that I heard from God. This is not what Abraham did. Because when Abraham heard the words from Yah, he did worked. He obeyed. He also encountered Melchizedek. Melchizedek blessed him and had a covenant meal with him, which is bread and wine, right? And pardoned him of the murder, because not really murder, the killing he had to do to save Lot, who was a liability that he took with him when Yah said, leave your family behind. But Abraham took Lot, so Lot became his liability, right? But he was cleansed from that via Melchizedek. So then they go on, you are doing the works your father did. They said, we were not born of sexual immorality. We have one father, even God. Again, that's what Abraham. Then we get back down to verse 48, where they bring Abraham up again. Keep in mind, first they're talking about their relationship to Abraham, and because it was born, from the loins of Abraham, that they were free, etc. But now we get into death. We're getting into a chronological loop here, where they believed that this guy is talking about never tasting death. Well, how is that possible? He's like, are you greater than Abraham? Abraham died, the prophets died, but you said if somebody hears your word, they will never die. So they knew everybody died, so they didn't know what the heck he was talking about. And Yeshua himself was not saying to them that they were not going to physically die, because he himself died physically. Verse 53, they said, are you greater than our father Abraham who died and the prophets died? Who do you make yourself out to be? Yeshua answered, if I glorify myself, my glory is nothing. It is my Father who glorifies me, of whom you say he is our power. But you have not known him. I know him. If I were to say that I do not know him, I will be a liar like you. But I do know him, and I keep his word. Verse 56, your father Abraham rejoiced that he would see my day. He saw it and was glad. Now here's the key thing. Your father Abraham rejoiced that he would see my day. He saw it and was glad. Let's go into this real quick. All right. Now, when we're going through this Greek, Abraham, Pater, Humon, Egaliasato, China, Ade, Ten, Chimeron, Ten, Emen, or Emen, Kai, Aiden, Kai, Ekare, right? So we're looking at the parsing, right? Typically you get these in your inflections and your verbs. So let's take a look at the verbs, right? So he says, Abraham, the father of you, ho pater humon, the father of you, rejoiced. So here we have the aorist indicative middle voice. So middle voice is almost like passive, but the aorist typically means something that occurred, some simple action that occurred sometime in the past, right? So we know the first word, we know it's the aorist tense, and that he rejoiced. Abraham rejoiced, right? The one who is your ancestor that they're saying, he rejoiced. Hina, conjunction, what did he rejoice? In that, what? That he should see, the aorist subjunctive active, he should see, right? Now again, in the past, he rejoiced in the past that he should see what? There's the article here, the day, my. So my day. You have these article 10 here, which is the article. which is your accusative feminine singular, right? Because who's the accusative or the recipient would be Jesus, right? Of my day, and he saw and rejoiced. What do you mean he saw and he rejoiced to see my day? What do you mean by that? What is that talking about? It's not saying that he saw Jesus in the past. It's not what the text is saying here. He was shown various elements. For example, Paul says the seed that's mentioned in the book of Genesis is referring to Christ. That was shown to him in a vision. He was shown the stars and the sand and said, your offspring will be like this. Anyone who blesses you will be blessed. Anyone that curses you will be cursed. That's his lineage, his seed. He is the fulfillment of that seed, right? That's the key thing. He is the fulfillment of that seed. So the things that were shown to Abraham in the past about this day, when he says my day, this is very important to understand that he is not saying his day was in the past. He's talking about the current point in time that Abraham rejoiced that he saw his day present. And he saw his day and he rejoiced. So he's saying that Abraham had this experience in the past about what's currently occurring. That is why he can refer to Abraham, because Abraham was looking towards the day that the Messiah will step on the scene, which we have here. This context has nothing to do with pre-existence. If anything, it's referring to eternity, because they saying Jesus said, well, if you keep your word, you will not die. Abraham is dead. Are you greater than Abraham and he died? He said, well, Abraham rejoiced that he would see my day. He saw it and was glad. So the Jews said to him, you are not 50 years old, and have you seen Abraham? So now their interpretation is, wait. How in the world could you have saw Abraham when you're only not even 50 years old? So they're interpreting that he's saying that he was alive when he saw Abraham. So now in verse 58, Yeshua said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. So people say, oh yeah, you see right there, he said, I am. So we got to go and look at this word Ihyeh for I am, because they say, oh, this means that he's saying he's God. So ego and me. So in Exodus, we have the mention in Exodus 3 of I am that I am, right? Remember, this is not an argument about deity. This John 8 is not an argument about deity. You don't get that to John chapter 10. John 8 is not arguing deity. So this is not Yeshua answering them saying that I am the Most High God. That's not what he's saying. He's saying, Eping, Otois, Jesus, Amen, Legu, Humin, Prin Abraham, Genestai, Ego, Ami. So what he's saying is, Amen. Truly, truly. That means the true statement. Legu, I say, Humin, to you, Prin Aram, before Abraham, Genestai. Then he says, Abraham was, again, this is the aorist infinitive middle. Aorist is something that simply occurred in the past. You have the infinitive middle in the way that this verb is inflected. Then he says, ego I me, I am. So now, is he saying that he's eternal? So that would be the key thing. Where most people argue that he's saying that he's the I am that I am. So therefore, he was always here, and therefore he pre-existed before this moment, before his human birth, and he always existed. But that's not what he's saying. He's saying here, ego on me, to say that I am he, you are he who. I am the seed that Abraham was looking forward to. How do we know that? Because we have the law of first reference. When we go to John chapter 4, he's speaking to the Samaritan woman, and he answered the same way, right? And this is interesting. In John chapter 4, I'm going to go down to verse 25. It says, the woman said to him, I know that that Messiah is coming. You see this? This is a prophecy that a Messiah is coming. The Jews knew this. The Samaritans knew this. He was called Christ. When he comes, he will tell us all things. That's what he was doing with those Jews in John 8. Jesus said to her, I who speak to you am he. Am he who? The Messiah. He never says that I am the Father. Trinitarians don't believe that because they're not the same person. But then you may have some oneness may say, oh yeah, look right there. He said, no. He's using the same terms here. He says, ego eimi, the one speaking to you. You see that? I am, ego eimi. It should say, I am he. You see how they bracket he here? And again, this is our present indicative active, first person singular. And your ego, which is your what? A possessive pronoun, nominative first person singular. I am he. Who? The Messiah. When he's talking to them in John 8, he's referring to not deity, because again, ego eimi on is what is mentioned in Exodus chapter 3. Jesus never says, I am that I am. The Father says to Moshe, I am that I am. Jesus never says that. He never says, I am that I am. So you can't link the two. You can't correlate the two. No. But what he's saying here is, before Abraham was, I am. This is referring to who he is. Remember, he's talking about the honor and the glory that the Father gives to the Son. Abraham was looking for that because that's why he was chosen, so his lineage can give birth to this Messiah. Abraham had a foresight, a vision of this occurring. He rejoiced when he saw it in the past. Now that day is here, and he is saying that before Abraham was, I am he. Who? The one that he was looking towards, meaning that I outrank Abraham. That's the key. Not the other way around, because they get into twisted saying that Abraham is greater. Are you greater than Abraham? I outrank Abraham. I'm the reason why Abraham even existed, because the Father had already predestined for me to be here amongst you. I am the Messiah. This is what he's trying to tell them. He is talking about his purpose and why he's there. And Abraham looked forward to that day. He saw it, rejoiced, and he was glad. So therefore, I outrank him. I have preeminence over your father Abraham. That's why I can give you my words, and if you keep it, you shall live. Abraham can't do that for you. Okay, let me reel it back. All right. Saraya Yisrael, you can email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com and we can answer it for you. All right. Or you can just sign up for the ministry. Link is down in the description. Okay. Last one. Are you King James Bible? Are you King James Bible used? Are you King James used only? No. As you can see here, I'm using the ESV. So I only use the King James with people who use the King James. I don't use the King James outside of that. I either read the original text, which is an original language, which is Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. And then I also do some other translations, other versions like the Sahidic and Coptic, or in the in Arabic, there's Arabic translations, and there's Syriac. But no, over here, we don't use King James only. We read the original text, and we choose translations that represent the original text. So it may not just be one translation. Some translations may have a better rendering or reading than others. Some translations may use different manuscripts than others. We use what we call the preponderance of the evidence. Wherever the weight is heavier on the rendering, reading from the translation and or translation, that is what we use here, right? We deal with the text much more critically than those who dogmatically follow the King James Bible. All right. Anytime done, Dada, for you, I'm here to serve, my brother. So I'm glad you enjoyed that. All right. All right, family. So we're coming up on our 1 hour and 35-minute mark. I appreciate y'all for being here with me. Y'all could have been anywhere else, but you're here with Keisha and Divine Prospect. I appreciate y'all for spending time with us. Remember, there's a 24/7 after party over there at the Patreon, www.patreon.com/Divine Prospect. You'll see it going across the screen here. Right. We also have active chats over there as well. So you can finish whatever questions that you may have here. You can finish them over there. It's not just me answering it. There's the rest of the community that's part of our Patreon that's willing to assist and answer your questions over there as well. Sign up for the Patreon itself to one of our subscription tiers so you can get access to the repository of resources that we have over there. We have 1,200 posts with all types of content over there that we know you will enjoy. A lot of questions you ask me on here can be answered there too if you go and use that search index, that search box, and type it in there as well. All right. Now, remember, next Tuesday, we're restarting our classes after 5 p.m. We're going to do a post for it as well. Make sure you sign up on the $50 tier on the Patreon so you can get locked in and automatically enroll into our new classes coming up that we're going to go into the contextual analysis of scripture. That is the KHM, Holistic Research Paradigm for Bible Study Classes. And everything that we broke down here, we will give you all the tools and the methods to do it yourself at home so that as time passes, you will have that direct relationship with God without the need of those other people lording over you, trying to teach you, misguide you, mislead you. We're going to move them out the way and give you the tools that you need so you can do this yourself. So you may not or will not even need me. I'm not the Most High. I just allow them to use me so I can better serve the community. So I love y'all, family. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your Shabbat. We got these shirts here as well. Before the sun sets, living the rest life. If you want to live in the rest life tee, we got these in white, blue, red. You can also email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com and we can hook you up with a shirt. All right. Love you, family. Thank you for watching. And we're going to announce the winners of the giveaway as well. And thank y'all for participating. I appreciate it. Get the word out on this video. Share on all social media platforms if you can. Get the word out. Right. We'll announce the winners of the giveaway for the back to school. Share the word on the Ezra Institute. We mentioned that and discussed it on our last live stream. Please take a look at that. If it can't help you, it may help somebody else you know who may want to homeschool their children. And again, this is one of the things that we're offering so we can alleviate the societal ills in the community and prepare the people for Yah's arrival. Do not get distracted by what you see on the news. It's there to distract you. It's there to work on your psychology. It's there to work on your emotions. Yah is there to work on your soul. Some of y'all letting that stuff seep into your soul and it's changing your character. It's confusing you. It's misdirecting you. Stay focused, family. These are the last days. All right, hang in there. I love y'all. And if you want information on how to prepare, we have it on this channel as well as on a Patreon. All right, love you, family. Thank you for watching. Peace and shalom, shalom. Shalom, family.